Welcome to CodeCat 15 channel. This is your host Ravi. The following video is the second and final part of the career guidance session that was conducted on a Discord server called iOS Cafe. If you have not seen first part of the career guidance video, then I request you to please check it out. The link of first part of career guidance is mentioned in the description. iOS Cafe is a Discord community where many iOS developers help each other. The invitation link to the iOS Cafe is mentioned in the description of the video, so do check it out. That being said, let's begin the second part of the career guidance session. So now we are coming to 4 to 7 years of experience developers, which are senior developers and tech leads. The very first thing that you should have is a soft skill. Being a good listener is definitely a very good soft skill to have. Because your junior may come to you saying that, okay, this is my approach. What do you think about it? Let the junior finish his or her approach. Let them complete what they're saying. Once they finish, then you can guide them that, okay, what you have done is fantastic, but here's a better approach, or you can compliment them. You give credit to them like, yeah, that's a good approach and we should be implementing that. So be a good listener and be more approachable. Now, as a senior developer, I think that one of the qualities that I see in my senior is my senior should know how to write decoupled code. Because if my senior is telling me to, if I'm writing 300 lines of function and if my senior is approving that pull request, and that's a bad sign, that kind of like raises a flag to me, because 300 lines is just too much. I think a function should have 15 lines. But then again, if a senior is not catching that, then it's a big red flag for me. So make sure that you have a strong grip on writing clean decoupled code. And how will you have that? You will have that by learning, as I said, by learning all those design patterns, by practicing them and implementing them. Because when you implement those patterns, only then you'll know that, okay, which pattern is best for a particular situation. Now, in the past few months, there was some chatter going around with a pattern called as coordinator pattern, and everybody was implementing that. And it was because some YouTuber or some blogger just kind of like said that, hey, if you want to replace this 2 lines of code in the view controller, go ahead and build 6 protocols, 7 classes and 3 models. To me, that is kind of like increasing the code complexity, but hey, that's me, right? And when I asked such people who strongly, they were strong supporters of the coordinator pattern, I said, why are you using this? Whatever answers they were giving me were, it was not a technical reason. They didn't have any solid technical reason as to why they're implementing the pattern. And to me, that's again a red flag, because if my senior doesn't know why are they implementing the pattern, why are they using this library, why are they writing code in a certain way, then to me that is a red flag. My senior will just go ahead and dump things in my project and will have no idea what he's doing. One of the things that I have strongly said in all my videos and all my sessions is have a solid technical reason of why you're doing things. Do not implement anything blindly just because you read somewhere. Expand your technology scope. This is one thing that I would, this is again, a personal opinion of mine. So let's say you're having 4 to 5 years of experience, certain design patterns, you have 4 to 5 applications on the App Store. Now what? In this case, I would say you can expand your technology scope. You can go ahead and learn Android, Xamarin, Flutter, React Native. If you want to stick with native, then you can just, in the Android world, you can stick with Kotlin. It would depend upon the demands of the market as well. It is always an advantageous thing to know multiple technologies, because for me personally it has worked out. I was a ASP.NET developer, and then what I did is I shifted to iOS, and I was making APIs and everything for my iOS application. So it kind of like helped me out in that perspective. So if you think that you know it all, you have done it all in such short span of time, then eventually try to look into the other side of the mobile domain, that is Android, Xamarin, Flutter, React Native, and obviously there will be many more technologies in the mobile domain. So you can go ahead and check them out. Do not be a hello world developer for it's actually point number 5 and 4 both. What happens is, what is a hello world developer? So let's define that. A hello world developer is somebody who will create a new project in Android, will place a button, will show an alert called as hello world on the click of the Android button, and then will immediately go to the LinkedIn and add Android into their skill set. So don't be like that. Don't be a hello world developer. If you are adding any technology inside your resume or LinkedIn, make very sure that you have 1 or 2 projects built from scratch on that particular technology. Otherwise, do not add it, because as I said, learning is one thing, theory is one thing, implementation is a different thing. whatever you have learned in theories, once you start implementing it, only then you'll get an idea of what you know and what needs to be improved. So do not be a hello world developer. And this is once again the point that I've said, like you should give solid technical reason. If you're a senior developer or a tech lead, you should definitely have a solid technical reason for why this pattern is implemented, why this library is there, or why you're coding in a certain way, or maybe why there are no test cases in your project. You should definitely have test cases in your project. This is one thing that many senior developers have asked me, that can I become a subject matter expert, SME, of mobile domain? I would say if you just know iOS, you can, because there is a subject matter expert on one particular technology in every company. I think it would be more advantageous if you become a subject matter expert on the entire mobile domain, and hence you can see the word, this is a mobile domain, not one single technology. So what does a mobile domain mean? A mobile domain is for multiple mobile platform, that is, we have two, which is iOS and Android. These are the two platforms, but you have multiple technology framework exposure, like you have worked with SwiftUI or UIKit, Jetpack Composable or Kotlin for Android, Xamarin or React Native and Flutter. So if you have worked with all these different kind of technology stacks, then I would say that it would be very beneficial for you to be an expert in the mobile domain. Again, I think this point needs no explanation. You should definitely go ahead and practice DSAs a lot. And yes, avoid dependency on third-party libraries. One of my favorite libraries is Alomafare, which I'm not using anymore, and because it's not needed. I mean, like, we are not in Swift 1.0 anymore, right? Even still, developers use these libraries. With all due respect, they don't add any value to the project. If you're just parsing APIs, these libraries are not adding any value to the project. So it would be fine if you can just remove it, and maybe if you have time, you can remove this library and replace the entire code base with a simple URL session. This is just, again, an opinion. If you have time, you can do this. Otherwise, you can keep it as is. What you can also do, if you're having, if you think that you have, everything of iOS and you have built some projects, you can definitely start learning API creations and a few things about database. For API creations, I think you can start with .NET or PHP, whatever your favorite language is. And again, database, there are like multiple databases available. So you can look at different databases, and then you can pick one and you can go for it. One of the things that I personally recommend is, if your junior does something, please give them credit and uplift them to boost their confidence, because this will definitely help the juniors to kind of like do the right thing and be more responsible in what they're doing. But make sure that you increase their confidence, because sometimes what happens is, like, if you kind of like praise them all the time, the confidence becomes overconfidence. There is a very thin margin, and people always tend to cross that, and the confidence becomes overconfidence, and then it's a bad thing. So give credits to junior whenever you can. And once again, learning to write clean code with good coding practices takes time. I have been asked a lot of time on my Instagram and on my email that, okay, Ravi, we want to code like you, and what is the best way to learn things? Even I'm still learning about clean coding. I'm not an expert. I just do the right thing, and that's it. Even if you do the right thing, your code will automatically improve a lot, and it will be much more maintainable than what it is. So make sure that you do the right thing. And obviously there is a lot than writing clean code. I think in my videos I have not even shared even 1% of what the entire clean coding looks like. So read more books, explore more channels, and improvise your own code as you're going through. And how can you do that? Remember the design patterns and the coding principles screen that I've shown. Even if you implement those, your code will start improving a lot. These are some of the references. Gaurav Sen is a very good YouTube channel when it comes to system design. The one thing that is missing from his channel is I think there are only 2 or 3 videos for mobile application development. Like I think he explained how to build Facebook Messenger, and that was a pretty neat video. Abdul Bari on DSA. This is, again, if you want to learn data structure and algorithm, I think this is a very fantastic channel to start your journey. And there is, again, CodeCat 15. In my channel, what I've did is I've shown some of the patterns, how can you write clean code. I also show the different design patterns, like I have shown the difference between MVC, MVVM and stuff like that. So from an iOS perspective, you can check out this channel, but the only drawback of this CodeCat 15 channel is the videos are in Hindi. They are not in English, but some of the videos, they do have English captions. These are some of the books that you can read, and I strongly recommend The Clean Coder by Robert C. Martin. This is a very small book, but it will definitely give you a broader vision of how coding should be. Introduction to Algorithms is again one of my favorite books by Thomas, and this is one book that I just finished, that is Refactoring, Improving Design of Existing Code. So these are my 3 recommendations of books to read, and I strongly recommend that you start by reading The Clean Coder by Robert C. Martin. It is a very nice book. Now coming to the 8+ years experience developers. Now these developers are those which know it all. They have seen it all. I've made a particular chart for them. So if you are somebody who is having 8+ years of experience, you can go for system design for mobile and mobile architect. But the problem with this approach is there is no official post. You will be the person who knows about mobile, but eventually I haven't seen these titles. Whenever there is a job description released by a company, I haven't seen these designation. So there is no official post, but yeah, you can definitely be the person who knows system design for mobile. 8+ years of experience developers can also work on other mobile platforms. Android is there, Flutter, Xamarin, or React Native. If you want to stick with the mobile domain, you can go for Android or maybe other technology stacks. Other mobile technology framework. Now this is the route that I picked. Full stack developer. I already had a .NET base, and then I learned iOS, went to Android, then came back from Android to iOS, and then eventually I went into API, database, cloud frontend, and DevOps things. So this is the path that I followed. Maybe this is not the right session to cover this, because this is an in-depth topic of its own. Like if you want to become a full stack developer, what is the path that you should choose? And it has its own journey. The last is, which I have seen mostly 8+ years of experience developer do, is they become project managers and they jump into management. And this is also a good field, but I have no idea about management related things. But I do know that, okay, they become project managers, and after becoming project manager, they kind of like move on to the management ladder. So this is one of the common questions that I get asked all the time. Like, I want to earn 3 times more than what I'm earning now. There is no answer that I can give on this, but if you want to earn 3 times more than what you're earning now, is like you can switch from your current company, or a better way would be you can prepare for FANG. That is Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, or Microsoft. And these companies have good reputation in not giving 3 times, but more than what your current salary is. But then again, you have to kind of like prepare for these companies, because they are not going to ask questions like find the kth element of an array by doing this. No, they're not going to ask that. They can ask things like graphs, trees, and all the complex stuff. So prepare for FANG, give yourself like six months to 1 year, and eventually you can apply for these companies. Another question is, what is the right time to change a company? I would say that if your current salary is not fulfilling your monthly budget, your monthly budgets, expenses, EMIs, savings, then I would say that is the right time to change the company, because every year the inflation also rises. These are some of the points that I have noted down that can also be the reason to change the company. That is toxic work culture, bad management, developer is on bench for 6 to 8 months, no sight of new projects, poor or no appraisal. And all of these are red flags, in my opinion, that okay, if you see any of these patterns, then maybe it's time to change the company. So that would be it. That was my small presentation. These are my social accounts. You can follow me on that. Now I am ready to take your questions.
First of all, thanks very for the presentation. Was very clear about the past. My first question as a new fresher in the iOS development would be, is it possible to get references about DSA in the chat, or to deepen and about videos and books for the algorithm and data structures?
Yes. So the presentation that I just shared right now, I will be sharing the PDF copy of that in the announcement channel. The presentation has all references to some YouTube channels and some of the books that I recommended.
But having resources which are recognized by more experienced developers definitely helps. Knowing that these references are trustable and reliable for building up good skills. So that's why the conference today is really helpful for me, definitely. So thank you again. And yeah, I'll be checking out the references in the chat.
You're welcome.
Hey, hi Ravi, Karan here. I have one question.
Go ahead.
Staying in the same company for like 4 or 5 years, does it makes your learning process stagnant, or like? is it okay to stay in the same company if the appraisal and all the culture and everything is good? I mean, does it stops you from learning new things because they'll be following the same thing, right? Is there a point like where we should think like now it's been 3 years in the same company and we're not moving in the process of learning? So is that when you should decide you should switch, or like you said, we need to follow these points?
Well, the points that I gave was definitely my opinion on when you should consider changing the company. But here's what I think: if the company is good, is having a non-toxic environment, if you're learning, if you're improving your skills, for me the deal breaker would be, I mean, not the deal breaker, but a very good thing of to be in the same company would be if the company is doing my appraisals on time. Then I can think of maybe I'll be in the company for one more year. But if there is less appraisal or no appraisal, I think I'll go ahead and change the company.
Yeah, hi Ravi. Ravi, I have a question that, due to some toxic environment, I have changed my last company in 6 months. Okay. And now for the company which I have joined that, now they are also, going into some something that basically they're going into the micromanagement things and all. So if I am planning to change, I have certain offers, okay, from the good companies. But if I'm changing after 6 or 7 months, I'm going to impact my resume or what?
I don't think so. Maybe they'll ask the question. It's not going to impact your resume because your mental health is your top priority. If the company has started doing micromanagement, if the company has started doing screwing things up with your mental health, I would say just go ahead and change the company. And if somebody, and they're just going to ask you like, okay, why did you change the company? You have just joined this company for 6-7 months. If you want to avoid that question, what you can do is like, you can just, for your new company, you can just tell them like, okay, I took a break for 6-7 months due to some personal reasons, and that's it. You can kind of like avoid that question. Yeah, but it's not going to, it's kind of like not going to hurt your path or anything. No.
Okay, one more question. Like nowadays, is it good to go for a startup? Because one of the company is giving me a good package offer, but it's a completely startup. It's a new build. So shall I go for that? Because they are saying that they have findings on all of it. Shall I consider that?
Well, this is a gamble, to be honest, because again, this is my opinion and I may be wrong here. I think this is a kind of like gamble that you will play. Most of the startups, they can fly well, they can do well, but again, the environment over there is going to be like, they'll say that okay, I need this to be delivered pretty quickly. It's going to cause a lot of stress. But if the startup, I mean, like if you are the senior developer over there and if you are establishing a process and if everybody's adhering to the process, then I would say it's completely fine. But in startups, I have seen that hardly happen because startup want to grow. They want to build the product and ship it as fast as possible. When you're doing that, it's a risky game. So I would leave that choice to you. But I would say like if you want to experience that thrill, go ahead.
Actually, previously I have experience with startup, but that did not go well after working for 2 years also for them.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the appraisal day, they don't give much appraisal and all of this.
Exactly. But if it is something like a well-established startup, for startups, I think the thing is like you can see how this company has performed for the past 5 years, 4 years, and then probably you can make more calculated decisions. Because with startups, these are the there is a dark side of the startups which nobody talks about. But these are some of the things that happen. So I would prefer my mental peace over living the thrill. I'm getting my appraisals. I'm getting my appraisals every year. I'm living in a non-toxic environment. I am learning. I am just I'm doing a 9 to 5 because I need my personal time as well, right? And if you're in a startup, you will be like they'll probably make you work like from 9 to 10. Who knows, right?
So not about the startup actually.
Yeah, good question, man. Good question.
So my question is that now these days I feel like Java and Spring Boot microservices are having a good call in the industry. Would you recommend moving away from iOS to those microservices, or if we want to explore on iOS only but in the servers and all? How would you examine that?
Very nice question. To be honest, I would say it depends upon your personal preference, right? If you think that, okay, this field is kind of like booming and you want to try it out, you can go ahead and try it out. But then if you have been an iOS developer from the get-go, like you started your career as an iOS developer, and now maybe after 4 years, 5 years, you're thinking about changing, switching to Java or microservices, then I would say, first of all, understand what Java is, understand what microservices, watch some YouTube channels which will give you more exposure to those technology, and then make a calculated decision and switch. And maybe you want to see like if there are some certifications which are being proposed by those technologies, and do it. Because once you do certifications, only then you will be recognized that okay, this person, although he was an iOS developer, he is Java certified, or he is certified for using microservices or something like that.
It's been a year only to just trying out like if I can switch to this Java microservices.
And you should, you should. If you think that can boost your career, then definitely you should be doing that.
Hi Ravi, we have a question from Prasant Khatri, and he says, "Hi Ravi, thanks for the question. My question is related to time management. I am 8+ years of experience developer and getting difficult to learn new things in iOS and update my knowledge because I have seen there are a lot of things."
Okay, so if I understand the question is there are a lot of things coming in iOS. Time management is the problem. So how do we tackle it, right?
That's what I think.
This has been a problem to me as well, because with SwiftUI coming in, I did not get any chance to even look at some of the things in SwiftUI and try to learn and understand and implement some of the some of the things in SwiftUI. So what I would say is prepare a learning plan, like how we were kids and we used to prepare a learning plan. Okay, Monday I'm going to do this, Tuesday I'm going to do this. I would say, go back to the basics, prepare a learning plan and stick to the learning plan, that today I'm going to learn, this thing in SwiftUI or this particular framework or something like that, or maybe read a book. So prepare a learning plan, because once you do prepare a learning plan, what would happen is you would then go ahead and try to follow that learning plan, and eventually when you see you would have covered a lot of things. So prepare a learning plan, stick to it. One of the things that I used to do was, and this is something that I've started a few weeks ago, and it has worked like a charm. So I am reading a book. What I did was, like, I didn't touch that book once it got here, right? So what I did is, like, I keep the book on my bed pillow, and so once I go to the bed, the book is there. And what I do is, like, I just read it for 30 minutes and that's it. I'm done. That's my hard stop, because that is the amount of time that I have allocated for reading the book. So before I go to bed, I just, start from where I left and I read the book, and that's it. So developing such habits can definitely help you out. Creating a learning plan can definitely help you out. And I think, that should probably work.
We have one more from Priya, and she says, "Hi, I have a question too. I left my previous company in just 6 months because they put me in Objective-C maintenance project, and there was no development. For weeks, I used to sit idle and handle tickets. Then I switched to another MNC, and they put me in automation testing, which is again not development at all, and I have to do it to take tickets and all. It's a year here, so what do I do now? If I switch, what do I tell the interviewers that I did not work on actual work for one?"
How I would approach this problem? I would start by building an app. I would kind of like go ahead and have that app to showcase. Just tell them, like, okay, even though I was not working on Objective-C in my company, but I have built a side project using Swift with the latest and greatest things, and doing that maybe will give an advantage in front of the interviewer, that okay, despite she was not working with Objective-C, she has created a project, and then they'll kind of like look at your code, and then maybe they'll change their mind about.
Yeah, Ravi. Actually, I'm trying that only. My ex-team lead, he gave me a project, so currently I'm just working on it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah, okay. So my question is, like, during the interview, if interviewer asks any question and it's like I have not heard that word or that particular section, I have not discovered that part. So what should be my answer? How can I tackle this situation?
You can give the most diplomatic answer that you can. Like, what you can do is you can say, I have not worked on this particular, I have not heard this term before, but hearing it for the first time, I think this is what it could mean. And I'm pretty sure that if you have not heard that term, the answer that you give will be wrong. But then again, there is an attempt mark in the interview. What the interviewer tries to see in you is how are you attempting this question, right? And so there are attempt marks. So maybe you'll get an attempt mark, and once you complete your answer, what you can do is you can say that since I have heard this term for the very first time, the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to Google this term and I'm going to understand it. So thank you so much for teaching me something new today. So again, when you say this, there is again one point for you, and which is called as, you are open to learn. So the interviewer might give you few points based on these kind of conversations that you have.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
What are the good channel for learning clean code?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Please do subscribe to CodeCat.
Yeah, I have subscribed already. But I found SSL developer channel. I think they are too much marketing.
One of the downside of YouTube today is everybody is kind of like marketing their courses, and it's completely that how they do things. You will find maybe just few channels who kind of like tell you how to write clean code, because at the end of the day everybody wants to earn some money, and that's the reason why they are putting their efforts, putting their knowledge in making a course. But at the end of the day, it's up to you, like how much value are you getting from that particular course. So I would say that there are no particular YouTube channel that I know of. All my knowledge, I would say, and I've openly said this a lot, all my knowledge that I have got is through years of implementation and through reading books. If you want to be better developer or write better clean code, then I would say take some time, read books, implement whatever patterns that you have learned so far.
Okay, but reading book taking too much time. But how can I validate that it's running or not?
And that will be through implementation, right? So for example, if you know two patterns or multiple patterns, design patterns. So what you can do is if one particular problem is being solved by multiple approaches, then what you do is you compare those multiple approaches and you pick the best one, right? And let's say if there are, again you said that, okay, maybe you come across that, okay, these are the two best approaches that I have, but I don't know what to pick. Then my question is like, okay, which one is more maintainable and easy to change? For example, if there is a new requirement coming in, if I go with this pattern A, is it maintainable? Is it easy to change? And if the answer is yes, we go with pattern A. This is how I've been doing. Maybe there is a better way to do this, but this is the approach that I kind of like go with.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so if we are not having any more questions, then I can call it a day then.
Hey Ravi, I'm Yuvraj. So I don't have a question, but I want to add on top of what you said.
Yes, please.
Experience. So as you divided experience from 1 to 3 and 4 to more than 3 to 7, 4 to 7 and all. So my experience till now is if you are from 1 to 5 years of experience, till then you should work with really good team, where you can discuss whatever doubts you have and learn daily or mostly daily from your seniors or from your colleagues. So that way it makes a more sense, and it helps a lot to learn really fast in your career. Because I had that problem and I experienced if you work, when I was working with a good team, I really learned everything really fast. And when I was working alone for some companies, let's say 2-3 developers, then I was very slow in learning and implementing and everything. So I think that is one point I wanted to add here.
And that's a very good point. I think having a senior definitely helps, but then a lot of time I know developers who do not have a senior to work with, and that can be really painful, because if you're stuck, then you would need someone to kind of go ahead and discuss. But yeah, having a senior definitely helps. Good point. Any more questions, guys, before we call it a day? Going once, going twice. Thank you, everyone. Yes, Vishal.
Okay, so my question is none. Okay.
Oh, Vishal, you there? Okay. Vishal is not audible. Oh, there it is.
Okay. So there are so many influencers who is saying that don't go with UIKit. If you will learn UIKit, then It is not a good thing. Learn SwiftUI. It is a future. Stop learning UIKit thing. So, what is a good advice for a junior developer who is just about to start their career, okay, into development?
So in the yeah, that's a good question. So in the slide, when I think it was the fresher slide, over there I already said that you should be learning both SwiftUI and UIKit. UIKit has been there for a longer period of time, and not all the applications are going to kind of like migrate to SwiftUI. But even leaving that fact, let's say you do learn SwiftUI, you listen to some influencer from Twitter and you learn SwiftUI, but the companies these days, they are still using UIKit, and just knowing one thing can be disadvantage for you, because the company is not working in SwiftUI. And there are very few companies who are thinking of migrating to SwiftUI, or who are already, they are migrating their products on SwiftUI. The number of these companies are very less as of now, but in the future it will grow. So for now, I would recommend that you focus on SwiftUI and UIKit both, rather than just one specific technology. Does that answer your question, Vishal?
Thank you very much.
Alright guys, I think we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. So that will be all for the career guidance session. I hope these videos have helped you out by answering some of your questions. And if not, please feel free to ask your questions in the comment section. That being said, this is Ravi, and I thank you so much for watching this video. Have a nice day and happy iCoding. Bye-bye.